Hello. So, as you can probably tell, my voice is really raspy, really almost gone because I was screaming last night at myself, having a real breakdown on my temper tantrum. But anyways, figure out what's going on with me. How's this? How am I going to say this? Okay, here's how I understand it now. When I was a child, I fell in the water, and at that moment was split from my body because something happened. I don't know what, but when I was a kid, I used to have this innate ability to just go about things and live life and be happy and loved it. But something happened when I started to develop abilities, I guess, where I shut myself down or was stopped because of the something and was put to sleep, and then woke up and put to sleep and woke up, put to sleep. But my entire life, I felt like I was something, storylines going on in my head. Couldn't figure out why. I thought it was just thoughts. Now I know what happened. I'm a channeler. Everybody is. We're all being activated. There are certain people that have been chosen, or they chose themselves, or have been chosen by higher ups. And I think I found out. I think I know the key to being one of the ones that gets kind of picked for everything. That you are the top of the pile, pretty much. And it's basically all you have to do is have a really innate love for life, respect life, even though you're unawake. You still, like when I was unawake, I would still say to myself, I realize life is important. I know these mosquitoes are bugging me and they're biting me, and I wish that there was a way I could tell them to stop because I don't want to kill them and I feel bad for killing them. So I think that point right there made me special for some point, and I don't know what it is, and I don't like feeling special. I don't think I'm any different than anybody out there, and maybe that's the thing that makes it. And that's a hard thing to deal with when you don't want to be that way. When you've never felt you were special, you had an innate feeling of it, but then when you find out you are, yeah, it's weird, really weird for me, and I struggle with it. And I see so many videos about stuff going on in the past, nothing very relevant, but what's going on right now. And the relevance of what I'm seeing is right there. Every time I have a question about what's going on in my life, I can answer it, and I get the answer. About the new world, the old world, how we shift dimensions, like I've come to understand. I'm pretty much almost 100% with transmutation. If I wanted to produce gold out of lead, I probably could. No interest in it. I don't want money. I don't want material things. I see where society made its flaw and how the old design didn't incorporate protections to make sure that that was not protected, but just being aware of it. They were like, but now we have in the new, there will be lots of dimensions to make sure that if something happens unexpected, it will be spread out and available to be looked at the time it needs to be, if it needs to be, which it shouldn't. It's just people's this I don't know what it was. We were supposed to have this connection where we could just naturally feel nature and go with it. Like with our eyes closed, you can do it. It's simple. You close your eyes and you walk. You bump into something. It's real. You have felt it. And it goes with that with all your senses. You can use each sense like that. And I've innately known that. And I have this other ability to just accept everything for what it is. And I have no fear of anything. I don't think I ever have. I've been afraid of things that I didn't understand. But once I understand it and it's familiar with me, I love it. There's nothing I ever feared in my life that I liked. And I've always had this feeling like, do what makes you feel good. Do what you enjoy. And I felt guilty because some things that I felt I enjoyed were not socially acceptable. But I now realize just because it's not socially acceptable doesn't mean it's not good. There's a lot. Society's pretty messed up. So yeah. And I've been screaming at myself at ends. And a lot of screaming is done. I go out into the bush because when I'm confronted with things in my reality that don't mesh with my feel for what is real, and my feel for what is real isn't meaning real, it's natural. So it can be something of the mind or something of the body. But if it's natural, I consider that real. And then I look at life. Is that natural thing alive? Well, that gives it a couple more dimensions for me. And I think it's just that simple. It's not hard. Not hard at all. The only hard thing I'm dealing with is my own insecurities with the information that's coming up. But the oddest thing about it is I'm tapering off of methadone. Everything seems to be falling into place, whether I try and do it or not. So I just let it be because I've realized that by forcing it, it makes it harder. Like resistance, forcing. It's not how hard you work, it's how smart you work. You hear all these things. But you think, oh, okay, I'll incorporate it in my life and I'll do that. But you always think, why, how do I do that? Be patient. Your higher self, if you are to be awakened, will be awakened. I mean, you will be. It's just right now there's a very weird sensation because I believe we are in two different worlds in multiple dimensions. And this is only a once in a eternity type thing because the old and the new world are overlapping. And you'll see the sense in this because looking back on things I've heard in the news and stuff, those cities in the sky, I didn't want to, it just sounded so outrageous. But when you look at it, what's it look like? Kind of like there's another Earth right there. Where, how could there be? We don't see it. It's in another dimension. The things that we see here are only able to be seen here because that's kind of where they belong in the nature of all of it. The only reason we don't see all the dimensions is because we don't have all of ourselves aligned with ourselves. If you have all of your bodies in line, you'll be able to see in those. Not physically see, if you have to close your eyes to see it, or feel it, or smell it, but you can access it. Yeah, shifting your dimension doesn't mean taking your physical body and shifting it to another place and time. That's impossible right now in the old world. In the new world, that will be possible. And I'm not saying it's not impossible here. It isn't impossible here. You can do it. But you need to have the mind of Jesus to do that. And I don't think this society produces that. And my bird spirits are agreeing with me, if you can hear that. That, I think, if that's a raven, that may be my father, because I think he's a raven. He likes to take the ravens, because I really like ravens. I love crows, but I love ravens. I don't know what it is. They're just bigger and they're more majestic. And they seem like they can speak. Like I had one sit outside my tent, 5 feet away from me the other day. And like this. He's arguing with me because I'm talking about Raven. Ah, they can't spell. I just thought that. I thought, well, I'll try spelling it and see what he says. Raven. No. Okay. See, when I try too hard to pick up on it and try to converse with them, that's forcing it and it doesn't work. But if I just intuitively, I'm able to just go with it and just, like in the moment, like when you're, letting go of stuff, it's easy. But anyway, yeah, I'm not trying to say I know anything. I'm just trying to figure out what the heck's going on in my life. Why all of a sudden at 45 years old, I thought it was a girl that did it, but I think it was. I think my higher self, I think she was either a soulmate, a soul partner at one time, and I recognized her. She's like, or it was just it was just, or I don't know. I'm not sure how it happened yet. Not completely, but I'm blowing my own mind every day with things, and it's beautiful. I love it. And being in love with yourself, so important. If you can't love yourself, this stuff won't happen. And I think that could have been a trigger, but I don't know. I was thinking too, I slept outside the other night before this all happened. So I was thinking maybe when I was in the hammock, something came down and kind of just initiated me. Because when I sleep in my tent, I'm very aware of what's going on around me. And just because when I hear something, there's an instant fear, and it's not I'm afraid, it's just startled, focus. It just brings my attention to whatever it is. And that's what I use my fear for. It's an attention getter. A great one. If you want to use fear, use it as an attention getter. But you got to know how to control it. You got to be at peace with what your surroundings are. And when spending time in nature, it's just beautiful. Like you just sink into it and yeah. And I gotta tell you, my favorite thing to do now, I used to love just going exploring the world. Now I like exploring myself. I like to go see things and put myself into situations I've never been in and see what happens and see what I come up with. I know my traits and personality stuff. A lot of it's going to be familiar because I've done it before, but like those actions, but I want to be put in new situations so I learn new things that I've never opened myself up to, because I am completely open and accepting of everything that has to do with life and love and nature. It's just my natural way. It's my human nature. And I come up, you want to know if you're awakening? You get words coming in, and stuff like that, or some ability you're finding. Like, it's all how we intuitively sense things. So you may not sense words. You may start seeing pictures in your mind. You may get complete visions. It all depends on your level and where you awaken on the levels. Like, you could awaken down lower, up higher, but this physical is our densest form. I'm pretty much convinced of that. Or maybe we have, I guess, maybe we have other physicals. I don't know. Not really clear on that. And the way information comes to me, when I touch on it, if there's any familiarity connecting to any other thing, I get a bit of a glimpse, like an outline, and then I can feel it fills in. No picture. And it's weird. Just knowledge. But think about it. Your body is this beautiful mechanism full of all these connections. What's it? You're always told it communicates, but you think it can't speak, right? It's got a voice. It's got ears, nose. Like, your body is a part of you, and it's a separate part of you. Yet it is a part of you. Like, the subtle body. That's like when you get into that state where you're subtle. Like, you go so subtle. When you fall asleep, we go down the frequencies. I didn't read this and look this up. I just came to this realization while I was riding my bike, because I like to play with the words fall asleep, and I'm like, fall asleep. Oh, asleep, fall. You're falling down the frequencies, and wake up. When you rise in the morning and you fall in the evening, like, the sun rises in the morning, it falls. The sun doesn't actually rise, and I was struggling with this the other day. I'm still trying to figure out a way I can incorporate a new understanding and way of saying morning without rise in it, because we don't rise. We do, and I think the reason I can't do that right now, the moment I do, the confusion will be sort of gone, because I think that the reason I'm not be able to do it, because I have been able to put my creations in my mind into the world. I'll just say this. I did it with Google for one day. For one fucking day. But it went shit wire, because I realized that Google isn't my own creation. Just my experience. So it changed for one day. And then I let it go. Everything changed. But that was, I asked for that. I said, I just need one piece of proof that something I put out there is going to show up in my life. And I didn't make it specific. I had a whole bunch of these things, and all I do is go into a memory of it. Think of a situation that you had where you were pissed right off about something, okay? Now switch it. Say, well, you know what? That's like that time that and you tell a story, but you change the details to a positive. And you go, like, wasn't that crazy that happened that time? And then there's, to make sure it might really get worked, just go, oh, and by the way, there's about, between that one and that one, there's a million other that could happen, but there's subtle differences. Like, you make subtle differences in each one. And you literally only get to say, like, and my higher self will know which one I really and truly want at the time, so I don't have to be concerned with it. Because really, right now, if you're not all aligned, depending on where you are, you're not in your higher self. So you just say, higher self, keep an eye for that. And make the necessary adjustments without me being aware of it, so that I don't constantly think of it. If you ask your higher self to do things like that, it works. I've done it, tried it, it does work. And even asking certain things in a certain way, you'll get it exactly how you ask for it. If they see it and they can do it, they will. Because they are your team. Like, you are the super friends and, all those groups, the superheroes. That's what you are. You are the leader of your group. Each one, in their own reality is the leader, I guess. But up there, you're all similar, And there's going to be a pole shift soon. And that's why I'm waking up now, I feel. I'm also here to help whoever's left. But I said to myself a long time ago, like, this isn't real, so I'm just going to go to sleep. I wish I could just go to a coma until this shit's done. But I was always had this Like, I wanted to be around for the shift because I always felt it was really coming really soon. And I can't believe it's actually going to come. I got this feeling like 40, 50 years, and it would make sense, man. I think it may be sooner, like a lot sooner. I'm just giving grace here. But I also do, by doing that, I always do, hey, I'm going to put all these other universes in between all that, like, just balloons upon balloons upon balloons, identical copies with very little subtle differences, or big differences, whatever. But, they could happen too. So, but whichever one fits in will be used. And I think because there's so few creating beautiful, conscious designs like that, consciously, I know there's lots being made unconsciously. You can see it. Because I still see lots of beauty. It's not like I see hate, horrible stuff everywhere. It's just people's actions and real redundancies and things like stoplights, and like we really need stoplights or rules, like or police. Like, police are nice, but from the original design they've changed. Like, I think if you don't have love at life at heart, you kind of miss it. Like, if you can't treat people with respect, you shouldn't be a police officer. If you don't cherish life and would never hurt a person ever, that should be your first duty, not to hurt. And if you're a compassionate person, then maybe you would decide about being a police officer. But unless you're compassionate and never hurt anything, you shouldn't be a police officer. Like, that's just simple. But I struggle with simple things like that. And it's almost like people are too willing to listen. You're too willing to listen to what you're told without any evidence it works because you like that. Well, that's nice. Or because your parents say that's the way it is and they don't understand it, or your grandparents, whoever, you get that. That's just the way it is. You got to do what you got to do. And I've never agreed with that. Like, one for all, like, circa sacrifice one little piece for the group. No, that's not life. If that was fact, eventually it'd be all gone because the group would just keep getting smaller every time you sacrifice something. And eventually it's dead. Bye-bye, group. Like, and I apologize if I'm not looking into the camera here. Like, this is probably the second, third, fourth best selfie I've ever done. I've always felt so uncomfortable with my looks. I've been ashamed to look at myself. But the other day I also had a really cool idea. I was going to start meditating, looking into my eyes, staring into my own eyes. Guess I didn't need to do that. So, and I keep doing this, looking over my left shoulder. That's where I feel my power comes from. Which, I was trying to think. My left, my right, my intuitive. So that would make sense. I would feel my intuitions over here. And that's intuition. That's my intuitive feel. So I think if you're a feeler, you'll get voices or visions. If you're a sensor, or information person, maybe you'll get it a different way. Well, there we go. Yeah, if you're a visual person, I'd say you get it with visions, like visual or data, raw data, or I don't know. Oh, I figured out. This is cool. Okay, picture this. You're a blob, just a blob. Okay? Your cell. How do you figure out your environment? How would you go about moving around the environment right there to find out what's around you? Me, there's two directions I can move. Well, two movements I can move. I can roll in a circle, or I could go in a straight line. So, by a circle, there's two different ways you can do this. You can spin in a circle, and then you got a circle, so you got a shape. And then the next one, step 2 of that one, you do that one, and then you move out on a plane. Now you've got a wide, flat plane. So you've got a circle and a straight line. Those are two. Then let's get another one. We'll draw. Well, we can't do anything with a circle more. We've done pretty much anything we can do with it, with a dot. Or can we make the dot smaller and draw with it, drag it, I guess. But I don't know. I don't know if that's a real thing. But I'm getting most of the processes here. I'm just kind of working this out. And then then you get a line, okay, from one point to another point. I think this is after the circle. So you go from the circle to the one point to the line. Then you add another point, you get the triangle. Now, with the triangle, you can go many different ways. You can either add one more line and get a square, or you take your triangle form and you roll it. You flop it, roll it around the circle, and you get an octagon, like an 8-sided shape. Like, and also with that one, with that shape that you make with the triangles, you also get a three-dimensional cube in the center. A three-dimensional cube, a two-dimensional representation of a three-dimensional cube, which gives you an idea of what three dimensions are. So it gives you another way, like there's your bookmark of where to go next. Oh, so we go from the first to the second to the third to the fourth or the sixth, or no, fourth or the sixth. Wait, six, yeah, three, six, nine, 3, 6, 9, 12, 18, 24. There, yeah. You can go to any of those dimensions from the second and third, from the third. That's pretty cool. And I just worked that out right here. And this is all streaming into me constantly. Well, not constantly. When I get into my higher state, or my, I'm going to call it my Zen state, because it is almost like a Zen state. If I can stay calm and not open the channel accidentally, and well, the floodgates open. Like last night, I had someone come through it felt so ancient, and he started screaming out that he is so pissed off at what people are doing, and so disappointed and so upset. And this dude, man, I felt so much fucking heartache in this fucking individual. And he was just, this is why my voice is raspy, because I was just fucking reefing it out. 3 o'clock in the fucking morning in the middle of nowhere, I just started belting out this line about how sad he was and how disappointed he was, and how he just wants to slap everybody in the face. He doesn't want to, but he's got this urge to, because all the frustration he's built up, and he's never experienced any of this before. Like, it blew me away. It blew me away. And then after that, I had my dog come through. Oh, that was a cool one. I didn't actually have him come through, because I believe he's out living his life right now. He wasn't able to come through, and that might have been the girl I met. She may be my dog. And it's really weird to think a girl could be a male dog soul, but that's what they do. So, that's that. Little update on my stuff. So yeah, you can comment below. You can ask me questions about what's going on in my life. If anything seems relevant, I'll tell you what's going on there. And if you want to draw some conclusions and stuff like that, I'm not going to stop you. That's in the realm of possibilities, but I'm not trying to help anybody. I'm not trying to give you medical advice on anything. I'm just trying to figure out what's going on with me, and I'm just trying to find somebody out there that can connect with me. Actually, what I'm trying to find is my guru. But I don't think I need a guru. I think I need a shaman, because I think I'm the guru. And what do you do? What does a guru do when he awakens to all this? Or I say embrightens. I'm embrightening myself, because I've already been enlightened a long time ago. And I've already awoken a long time ago. I've reawoken. And now I'm in the process of going in, deep diving, and waking up all of myself, getting myself all aligned, pulling myself together, and getting this shit going. Because I don't want to mess up. And it's not a fact to mess up. I just want to do this to my best ability. Absolutely. And man, I'll tell you this. The fucking guilt. Absolute freaking guilt when it first happens. That you feel from all of the stuff that you've done to yourself that you feel regret for. And I'm going to say this right now. I love you, and that's not necessary. Please don't worry about that. You do not need to worry about anything. And you're going to go back and forth and say, oh yeah, that guy says I don't need to worry about it. Yeah, right, fuck that. But he's not in my shoes. I probably am, and I probably was, and still gonna, or could be. You know, I know that I'm not done with this. This is my finessing deal. Like, I got to process this and make it fit, because it's natural and I want it. It's part of me. And the fear of losing it, holy shit. You know, when you've never had anything really beautiful in your life to grasp on, like, I don't want to grasp onto it, because I know that's not what you do. I just want to stay in that, familiar with it. That's just a familiarity. That's all I need. Or a knowing that it's not going to leave me, because, you know, when you have experience with things leaving you, it's hard to break. So I think I'm just doing that deep dark night of my soul and getting through this shit. And it's neat. It's not dark. I think the dark night of the soul just means you need to spend one night of your life in darkness when you're like a child or something to get this information. Like without anybody talking to you, or the child goes into themselves and looks for the answer. And like literally, the child is out there looking for an answer. There's nobody around. They scream out, what is this? They'll get the answer. There's people aligned to do that. That's something you do yourself. That's why the answers are in us. We have put up little signposts, little marks, trail slashes, so that we're on a trail on the path that we set out for ourselves. We see the trail slash or the marker, and bam, there it is. Blaze, 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 not slash, blaze is what I meant to say. Trail blaze. The marker on the trail is a blaze. That's not fun. The marker is ablaze. And the forests are ablaze, but not to worry. The world, the old world before humans got here, maybe with First Nations, something, I don't know, probably not, but all the animals here are staying, or I don't know, maybe they have a choice to go with us. I don't know. I can't really communicate on that level yet. But they do have souls. Not human souls, but they do have souls. I think pets get the human soul, or animals can get a human soul when humans love them. And then they have the ability to then go out and live as a human soul to learn the lessons and become a human. So and that's why I think my buddy Dex, my son, because I really feel he's my son. I may be a single man with no wife in this life or this existence, but I know I'm a father. I know that. I feel it constantly. I know for the first 3 years, he never left my side. I could feel him. And all you out there, you know that have had that. Or when you're doing something, you're going about something, and you think, oh yeah, they're not with me anymore. Like, for the longest time, I did that. I would be constantly, oh, where is Dexter? Oh, shit, yeah. That was 3 years ago, like, that happened. Like, it's been a lot more than 3 years since he's passed. It's back in, oh, wow, 2017, 28, no, I guess he was 2019. He was 19 years old. Called a Yag Terrier. He was a black and tan Jack Russell. And we almost didn't connect. I almost picked a different dog, but then he came right up to me, and as soon as I saw him, I knew it. And the really cool thing, my mom has a dog, a Jack Russell, who is like very small. We call him Jigs, and he is the most amazing little dog. When my mom got him, Dexter didn't like puppies too much. Like, he did, he'll put up with them, but he did not. If any dog bothered him, he would snap at them. And this little guy, I've got video I could post on here. I probably should post it. That it's funny. He would grab Dexter's leash and yank on the leash, and Dexter would be like this look on his face, like, really, dude, like, leave me alone. But then, like, he would play with him, and now, because of all how close they were, this little guy reminds me so much of of Dex. It's amazing. I love it. So, and like, I've never seen a dog like this little Jigs. He listens to everything. He watches TV like he's a human. Like, I've never seen a dog do that. I've seen them look at TVs, kind of follow the shapes, but this little guy, he'll sit there, fold his paws, put his head on his paws, and just watch the television. And you see his eyes just following people. And he'll furrow his brow and lift his ear, and it's so fucking hilarious. And then sometimes he'll run to his dish because he thinks something's going to steal his food. Oh. But anyways, yeah, I'm going to get going now. I got to get some supplies and post this. So I love you all. And it's in with you. It is within you. And you will do it. I know you will. And don't sweat it. All has a plan. And it will happen. So yeah. Please comment below if you feel the need to. And if not, c'est la vie.